Hey, good day, my grade 12 Humes students. So today we're going to discuss Module 3, which will talk about drama. Okay, so but before dealing in with the lesson, let us have first the objectives. Okay, so at the end of the discussion, you should be able to first describe the elements of drama. So expect that later as the discussion progress, we will be dealing with the different elements of drama. Okay, and then analyze the differences and connections between drama and creative nonfiction. Third is to narrate and explain dramatic personal experiences. Fourth, use clearly and coherently a chosen element identified with a genre for a written output. And lastly, create examples of literary elements based on experiences. So again, these are our guides for today's discussion. So let's start with this picture. So when we see this picture, the word theater or play always come into mind. Okay, this picture symbolizes or represents theater or play. But aside from it, it also symbolizes or represent the different or the two major categories or two major genres of drama. And those are the tragedy for for the sad mask, okay, and comedy for the happiness. But aside from that idea, these masks were used in the old days to hide the real identity of the actors. So during those days, women are not allowed to act in a play. So meaning we only have men to perform. And if we have characters or role for women, men will take that role and they will wear masks to hide their real identity. Also, masks were used to show emotions since if you will be sitting at the very far end of the theater, there are tendencies that you may not see the reactions or the real facial expressions of the actors. So they use masks to portray the emotions of that character on a specific scene or event. Okay? And also, these masks were attributed to the two muses of Greek mythology. And those are Melpomene and Thalia. Melpomene was represented by the sad mask, and Thalia was represented by a happy masses. So Thalia and Melpomene were two of the nine muses in Greek mythology. So those are some information about this mask. So let's have the definition of a drama. So when we speak of drama, I keep on saying that this is a genre of literature that is designed to be performed, meaning we need to present this story in front of the audience. So drama is a story told in dialogue by performers before an audience. So they act, they perform, they talk, they converse in front of the viewers. A drama will not be considered a drama, or a script being not performed will not be considered a drama. So the basic requirement and one of the major requirements of it is that it must be performed. Okay, so drama involves or includes television plays, so the telenovelas and the telebabad sa hapon programs that we are watching are considered drama. Even the radio plays that we used to listen before or in in the early 2000s, those are also considered drama, and even movies or films. In drama, actors make a world come alive before the audience. So these worlds, the setting of the story, the event discussed or the situations um, shared in this specific story come alive because they were performed by the actors and actresses. Unlike in fiction and poetry, or even in nonfiction, the setting or the situation being discussed will remain in the imagination of the writer. It will come alive unless those fictional stories, those poetries were adapted and put into a play. But if they will remain on papers, the world discussed there, or the world feature in those kind of literature, will remain in the imagination or on the imagination of the readers. Okay, so that's what makes drama different from the other genres of literature. Also, a drama or a play is a script that is meant to be staged. You really, really need to perform it. So a drama has 6 elements. Actually, it is not limited to 6. Okay, we can have so many elements of drama, but we will just discuss 6 of them. And those are the setting. We have discussed setting before. Character. We all know what is a character and what are the different types of it. We also have dialogue, plot, theme, and genre. Okay, so those are the 6 elements, or the basic elements of a drama as cited by Moratilia and Theodora. So we will discuss them in detail for the next succeeding lines. So let's start the discussion of these elements with the setting. So we all know that when we speak of setting, we are talking about the place and the time when and where the story happened. Okay, so the setting is the place together with other conditions or even weather conditions such as time and the environment involved in which the events occur. So just like in fiction, specific time of a day, for example, in the afternoon, during lunch, okay, in the evening, at midnight. So those can also be considered as setting. So in a drama, the setting can be presented through visual elements, or element deals with the scenes, costumes, and special effects used in it. So we can observe the setting by looking at these things. Okay, so the setting can as well be enhanced using viewable elements, sound effects, and music. So meaning it will become more realistic if we will add something to it. Okay, if we will be putting some props that will somehow help the viewer to understand what is the setting of the story. We can also incorporate the costumes of the actors and actresses so that we can build the setting. So for example, the setting is on the school. So you may actors and actresses must wear school uniforms or any clothing that may be associated with a school. Okay, so that is a way wherein setting can become more realistic. Okay, and then next is character. So we all know that character are the representation of human beings in the story. They are the ones acting or doing the action in a story. But in a drama, in order for these characters to become alive, they were portrayed by actors or by the actors and actresses. So just like what I have said a while ago, in the old times, during the period or during the times of William Shakespeare and the older um, English or international playwright, women are not allowed to act. So in order for in a woman character to become alive, actors wear masks to hide their real identity. Okay, so we still have the same kind of characters or types of characters. We still have protagonist, antagonist in a play. We still have flat and round characters or dynamic and static characters. We still have the same types of characters basically. Okay? And then the third element of a drama is dialogue. So if in fiction the story is told by narrating it, but majority of the text is narration. In a drama, majority of it is, or majority of the story is told by performing it, okay, by action, by interaction among characters, and also through the use of dialogue that were being delivered by the actors and actresses. So if we will be dividing a script of a drama, we can have three parts of it. So we have the narration that will somehow 10 to 20% of, or 10 to 15% or 20% of the script. We also have the set direction or the instructions given by the writer and the director to the crew and actors and actresses. So set direction is usually 10 to 20% of the text, and we have dialogue or the conversation or the interaction among the characters. Uh, we have the majority of the script, or 50 to 60% of it is made up of dialogue. So that is the composition of a script. Majority of a script is made up of dialogue, since the play must be performed and the characters must converse so that the audience can understand what is the message of that, or what is the story behind that specific drama. Okay, the fourth element of a drama is plot. Okay, plot is still referred to as the arrangement of events or scenes in the story. Okay, so the structure of a play which tells what happens in the story or what happens as the story goes on is still considered as the plot. So in a play, we have 6 stages. So in fiction, we only have 5, right? But in a drama or in a play, we have 6 stages. And those stages are the exposition, inciting event or inciting incident, rising action, climax, falling action, and the denouement. So the definition or the characteristic of exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and denouement are still the same. So hindi naman po nabago yung kanilang definition or characteristic. Nadagdagan lang po, or we just add an inciting incident. So when we talk about inciting incident, it is an event wherein the characters need to act, okay, or need to react. And it resulted to, or that specific event will result into complex situations. And those situations will be under rising action. So parang si inciting incident yung dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng problema doon sa ating story. Okay, siya yung punot dulo ng lahat ng problem sa story ng isang play or ng isang drama. So yun lang naman yung pinagkaiba ng plot structure ni drama kay fiction. But if you will look at it in detail, you can also observe inciting incident in fiction, but it is given in importance or significance in a drama. Okay, so you can still apply the different types of plot. You can still apply the chronological order of the events. You can still use flashback or foreshadowing, but unlike in fiction, those types of characters will be evident or observable. But in drama, since actors and actresses perform the scenes, if you will be using flashback or if you will be using foreshadowing will be observed, but if you will be using flashback, it will now it will be somehow not evident or hindi siya mapapansin. Okay, kasi nga live nila siyang pina-perform and hindi naman ah hindi naman siya mapapansin unless the narrator or the characters will be telling the audience na this will be a flashback. Okay, so you can still use it, but again, it will not be evident if you will be watching a drama. Okay, so that's the plot. And then next is the theme. So the theme of a play refers to its central idea. So the definition still remains. It is the underlying message of the story, or it is the topic of the play. So a theme can either be clearly stated through dialogue or action. So meaning it is explicitly stated, the word love or whatever theme it is, you can see it or you can hear it from the actors and actresses, or the theme can be inferred or you can just identify it or know it after watching the entire performance. So meaning it is implicit. Okay? Hindi siya directly stated. You need to read the whole text or you need to watch the whole play to know the theme of it. Okay? So it can be directly stated or it can be indirectly stated. So again, theme is the central idea or the message or the topic of the play. So it may be about love and so on and so forth. And then lastly, we have the spectacle. So the spectacle in theater can involve all of the aspects of scenery, the background, the costumes, the clothing that the characters are wearing or the actors are wearing. It also includes the special effects in the production, the props, and so on and so forth. So the visual elements of the play created for theatrical event. So those are the spectacle. So the qualities determined by the playwright that create the world and atmosphere of the play for the audience eyes. So spectacle helps the drama more or to become more realistic and appealing on the eyes of our audience. Okay? So imagine nyo na lang kung halimbawa yung play natin ay nagaganap sa isang hospital. Pero doon sa scene, ang meron lang ay isang kama at isang upuan. That's it. How can you determine if it is a hospital or it's just a room or a room on a certain house? Diba? We need something so that we can establish that the setting or this scene is happening inside a hospital. So we can put things, we can even paint the wall para maging kahawig siya ng wall ng isang hospital. We can put machines or even wear hospital gowns and so on and so forth so that we can establish the scene effectively and appropriately. So yun po yung naitutulong sa atin ng spectacle. Okay? So those are the elements of drama or the basic elements of drama. Again, we may have so many elements of it, but we don't need to discuss them all because we are just using these elements or we are just discussing these elements so that we can have something to compare on if we will discuss the characteristic of a creative nonfiction. Okay? So again, but before I continue the discussion, I forgot to tell you that in a drama, we may have several types of stages. Okay, so I will be presenting three types of stages. Okay, so the first type of stage is proscenium. So that's the spelling of proscenium. So sa proscenium, para po tayong may, yung stage po natin ay para siyang picture frame. Okay? Makikita lang natin yung play in just one point of view, and that is the front view. Parang ganito po. Okay? So lahat lang po nung nasa harap nung butas na side ng stage natin yung nakikita. So kung ano man po yung nangyayari sa right side ng stage or sa left side ng stage, since naka-frame or framed po yung ating stage, we cannot see those things na po. Okay, so that is a proscenium stage. The second type of stage is a truss. So a truss stage is an embossed stage. Okay, meaning nakaangat siya sa pader o kaya naman ay nakausli yung ating stage. So we have three views of it. So pwede nating makita yung stage from the right side or from the left side and from the front side of it. Okay, the only thing that we cannot see is the backstage because there's a wall, okay, on the back part of the stage. So that is a truss stage. So para siyang yung mga stage ng court. Yan, ganyan. Ganun po yung itsura ng truss stage. And then yung third is arena theater. So an arena theater is surrounded by the audience. So meaning you can see everything on the stage. So, and then naka-elevate din po yung stage so that everyone can see what is happening on it. Okay, so yun yung difference or the different types of stage na ginagamit in a theater. Okay, so pwede pa kayong madaming ma-encounter na types of stages, but I will just be giving you these three stages. Okay, so those are the different types of stages in a theater. Okay, so now let us have the different forms of drama. So some of it were discussed in English 400, just like comedy. Okay, so again, when we speak of comedy, the story is humorous and it has a happy ending. So meaning the story is light. Okay, it is not heavy-hearted. Hindi ka mapapaiyak. Kumbaga, carry lang yung story. We don't have that much of a problem. Okay, ganun yung characteristic ng comedy. So examples are The Merchant of Venice. We also have A Midsummer's Night or A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Tempest. Okay, so you may search these plays that I am saying so that you can observe or you can see why is it classified as a comedy. We also have what do you call this? Nakalimutan ko yung term. Die Beautiful. So that movie is also a comedy. Okay? So those are examples of a comedy drama or comedic drama. So the second form of drama is a tragedy. So a tragedy is a drama form in which the main character often appears a person dignified or heroic stature suffers a downfall may result from outside forces or from a tragic flaw, a weakness within the character. So we are very familiar with tragedy. So if the characters experience downfall, hindi sila nagkatuluyan sa dulo, they die on the story or at the middle part of the story, that is tragedy. So one best example of a tragedy is Romeo and Juliet. We also have Hamlet, Othello, Julius Caesar, King Lear. In the Philippines, the movie That Thing Called Tadhana can be classified as a tragedy. We also have the movie of Alex Gonzaga, which is Nakalimutan Ko Nang Kalimutan Ka. So that one is also a tragedy. It has some aspects of comedy. Maybe siguro pwede natin siyang maklasify as tragic comedy because that movie or the movie Nakalimutan Ko Nang Kalimutan Ka has the characteristic of both forms of drama. Siguro yun nga po, pwede siyang mag-fall under tragic comedy. Okay? But That Thing Called Tadhana, Titanic will fall under the form tragedy. Okay? And then, the third one is melodrama. So melodrama is a form of tragedy. So it has full of exciting events, and in these events, characters and emotions seems to be too exaggerated to be real. Okay? If we will compare it to tragedy, in tragic stories, yung mga events or events featured in this kind of drama may happen in real life. Pwede siyang mangyari, okay, sa totoong buhay. But if we are talking about situation or events in a melodrama, parang ano siya, hindi siya pwedeng mangyari. Or if we will look at it or observe it in real life, those situations are too exaggerated. Okay? They were too much, or exaggeration is too much. Okay? So yun yung difference niya sa tragedy. Okay? Pero they are both emotional. Okay? If you will be watching a melodramatic play or melodrama, you may end up crying, you may end up sad after watching it. So examples are Kadenang Ginto, The Legal Wife, what else? Twilight. Those are somehow melodramatic, okay, and the situations portrayed or the situations given in those plays or dramas are exaggerated. Okay, so that's melodrama. And then the fourth one is farce. Okay, farce is a funny play for the theater based on ridiculous or unlikely situations and events. So, kabaliktaran naman siya ni melodrama. So, kung si melodrama ay form ng tragedy, si farce naman ay form ng comedy, same lang ng characteristic din ni melodrama. So, humorous, funny. It is funny because the actions or the events featured in this kind of play are exaggerated. So they made exaggerated so that it will become funnier and more humorous on the part of the audience. Okay, so yung mga bibigay kong example sa inyo ay hindi siya familiar. But if you will be looking at the description of these stories or of this play, you will observe or you will identify that it is really a farce. Okay? So you may search the play That Goes Wrong. Yun yung title, The Play That Goes Wrong. Okay? So isa siyang play wherein murder story yung pinifeature niya. And then, in that play, inexpect naman nila yung lahat ng mga pwedeng mangyari. Okay, lahat ng mga masamang pwedeng mangyari. And as the title implies, everything goes wrong. Okay, so the play ends up collapsing. Yun yung dulo, nag-collapse yung buong theater, yung buong play. Okay, kasi they expected it to happen and it really happened. Okay? And then we also have the play It Pays to Advertise. So ito naman ay about sa businessmen. Okay? two businessmen. So, father and son, ganun yung relationship. Father and son, yung umiikot sa father and son relationship yung story. So, pareha silang businessmen. So, the father is selling a certain product. Ang ginawa ng kanyang anak is he founded his own company, he founded his own business. Tapos, hindi siya gumawa ng sarili niyang product. Ang ginawa niya is binibili niya in bulk yung product ng kanyang tatay and binibenta niya to in a much higher price by paying advertisement. Okay, di ba? Siyempre, kapag ang produkto is well advertised, yung presyo naman is worth it. Ganon yung nangyari dun sa story. Okay, and that happens without the knowledge of the father. Ayan, so ganon yung story. Okay, and pwede nyo ring hanapin yung play na The Comedy of Errors. Okay, so those are some examples of farce. Okay, and then the last form of drama is a historical drama. So a historical drama is a play that takes place in the past and is based on real events. So in many of these plays, the characters are also based on real historical figures. So meaning these characters or these persons or people live in the real world. Okay? They really exist in the real world. So the dialogue and the action, however, are mostly created by the playwright. So ang manipulated dito ay yung mga, halimbawa, yung setting, medyo binago-bago siya ng konti. Siyempre, kailangan natin siyang gawing appealing, mas creative siya para mas maging interesting siya sa part ng ating viewers. Pero yung situation mismo na pinag-uusapan and the characters in the story are real people and real places. Okay, so dinagdagan, binawasan lang ng konti yung dialogue, pinaganda lang ng konti yung setting, okay, para mas maging appealing siya sa side or sa part ng ating audience. Okay, examples of it in the Philippines, we have the play, the movie General Luna, Goyo, the Boy General. Okay, we also have the television drama Amaya and Indio. So most of the figures or the characters involved in those stories are real person. Ano pa ba? Saka yung mga places na pinag-uusapan doon sa mga TV drama na yon ay totoong lugar sa Pilipinas. We also have the play or the movie Troy, Gladiator, Gettysburg. Those are some examples of historical drama. Okay? And then the next part of it are the other forms of theatrical performances. Okay? So the first one is a skit. Mas kilala natin kasi siya sa tawag na role play, but in technical term, we call it skit. Okay, so skit ranges from 1 minute to a 10-minute performance. So it can be performed anywhere. Okay, you can perform it in between acts. You can perform it if you are participating in cosplays. Yeah, so and even on school, if you are asked to perform role plays, so those are skits. And then we also have monologue. So monologue does not have a specific length. Wala naman siyang specific length na dapat 15 minutes lang siya, dapat 30 minutes, dapat 2 minutes lang. Wala naman po. Okay? So long form monologues can take as long as 2 hours to perform, or it depends on the length of the dialogue or of the monologue itself. Okay? Kasi kapag dialogue, you have someone to communicate with. And so in monologue, it's your time to shine. Okay? So we have 2 types of monologue. First is internal monologue. So in this kind of monologue, the actor expresses his or her innermost thoughts and feelings. So meaning this line or this information or these ideas are not addressed to anyone. Hindi, hindi siya para sa atin, hindi siya para sa audience, hindi siya para sa iba pang mga characters. Wala. Sinabi lang siya nung ating actor or actress. That's internal monologue. And then we have dramatic monologue. So dramatic monologue is done when the actor is talking to another individual. So may kausap siyang ibang characters. Kaya naman may kausap siya pero hindi present yung kausap niya na yon. So it's either an imaginary character or even the audience yung pinakausap niya ay pwede po sa dramatic monologue. Okay? So that is the difference between internal monologue and dramatic monologue. So in internal monologue, you don't have someone to talk to or the speech is not addressed to anyone. But in dramatic monologue, you have someone to talk to. Okay? Or you are talking to someone. You are addressing this line to someone. Okay? So even that someone is not present on the scene. So those are their difference. Okay, so here are the references that I have used in this lesson. So you may check the bits or pieces of information that I have shared to you and see if those are correct using these references. So that's drama. Okay, so if you have questions regarding it, regarding this lesson, you may raise them on our GC and I am very much willing to answer all of your questions. Okay, so this will end the discussion. Thank you for listening. See you on our class.